Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my end of month reading reflections for the month of April 2023. So in April, I did do a little bit of traveling, so I wasn't really sure how much reading I was going to get done, but fortunately, I did get quite a bit of reading done while I was on vacation, and so my stats this month actually look really good. Much better than I thought they were going to be. Knowing that the last time that I had gone on vacation, I didn't read at all. So I'm very happy with how my reading went in the month of April. So in case you haven't watched one of these videos from me before, this is basically my month end summary where I share with you what I have read during the month, just the titles. I tell you what my highest and lowest rated reads of the month were, and I give you a little bit of soft stats. So, without further ado, let's get into what I read during the month of April. So I'm just going to let you know all of the titles that I read. If you would like to hear my thoughts on any of the titles that I'm going to mention to you, you can check out my Desis 19 diaries, which I've linked down in the description box below. In the description box of each diary entry, you will see what titles I am wrapping up in that entry. So in case you're looking for a specific title, that's the way you're going to be able to find it. Also, I do post very summarized written reviews on Goodreads. So if you're interested in those, I only do them for novels though. So if you're interested in those, you can check out my Goodreads or my blog for those entries. In regards to April, though, I have quite a few of my thoughts on books that I've read towards the end of the month in my vacation vlog, which is probably not going to be up by time this video goes up. So just wanted to put that out there. They will be up on my channel, but several of them are in my vacation vlog as well. And I can't link those down in the description box below yet because they're not posted videos yet, but they will be there. So let me tell you what I read during the month of April in, I guess, a particular order. So first off, we have Cross My Heart and Hope to Spy. This is the second book in the Gallagher Girls series by Ali Carter. I have Through the Grinder by Cleo Coyle. This is the second book in the Coffee House Mystery Series. Then we have the Monochrome Manga Club selections. The Monochrome Manga Club is an in-real-life manga club that I host in a local Barnes & Noble, where we read two first-in-a-series reads, and we are doing two series reads. And so one of the first-in-a-series reads was Malevolent Spirits Monogatari. This is story and art by Oni Gunso, published by 7 Seas, rated teen. Our other first-in-a-series selection was Mashal, Magic and Muscles. This is published by Viz, rated teen, and is done by Hajime Komoto. As for our series reads, we read Volume 3 in the omnibus version of Erased by Kei Sanbei. And then we continued with Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, with Volumes 19 and 20. These are by Koyoharu Gotoge, published by Viz, rated teen. Erased is published by Yen Press, rated teen, just so that you know. Then I also read 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I read Shadow Kiss, which is the third book in the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. And then I read Covet, which is the third book in the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. And I also read Court, which is the fourth book in the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. So that brings me to 11 things read in the month of April. So let me now give you some soft stats on what I read in the month of April. So of the 11 things I read, 4 of them were 5-star reads, 2 of them were 4-star reads, 1 of them was a 3.5-star read, 3 of them were a 3-star read, 1 of them was a 2.5-star read. So in comparison to March, I read 2 less things because I read 13 things in the month of March. However, my page count in April was higher at 4,347 pages. In March, I only read 3,743 pages, even though I read 2 more things in the month. So I think I did really great in the month of April. Of the things that I read, 5 of them were manga, 2 of them were novels, 2 of them I combo read, which means I read some of an ebook and listened to part of it on audiobook. And then 2 of them I listened completely on audiobook. 4 of the things I listened to were audiobooks I borrowed from the library. 7 of the things that I consumed in the month were things that I owned. So even if I listened to one of the things on audiobook, I may have owned the actual physical copy. So I'm counting that in here and things, like that. So that's kind of getting counted in here. One of the titles I read on the Shonen Jump app, and 2 of the ebooks I borrowed from Kindle Unlimited. So all of that brings me up to 57 things read in 2023. So I think I'm doing pretty good on my number of actual novels read during the year. I think I am ahead of where I need to be in order to reach my 52 novel goal by the end of the year. So if you haven't watched any of these for me before, I do keep a sub goal of 52 novels. I know I read a lot of manga during the year, and so my Goodreads goal is 100, and that will encompass all of the manga that I read, but I do like to try to make sure that I read 52 novels in a year. Sometimes I'm not so successful, but I do strive for that number every year. So I'm actually on track or ahead at this point, which is great. I do feel like overall my reading in April has been the best so far this year, and probably the best in a while. I did get engrossed in a particular series, and it's been really keeping my attention, and I've also found that the audiobooks for that series are really enjoyable, so I'm not having that same problem I had last month or for this whole year, actually, where audiobooks are kind of ruining the experience of the story for me. And so I found a really great series that I'm really enjoying, and I'm also enjoying the audiobooks as well. And it's just made a world of difference in my feelings on reading, my wanting to read. And so I do feel like at this point, my thoughts towards reading are much more positive than they have been, I would say, probably for this entire year. And so that's really great as well. I am so much happier with the reading that I'm doing right now. And I think I just kind of need to go with the flow. And so, yeah. Let me tell you now what my highest and lowest rated reads of the month were. I'm not really going to wrap them up for you here, but I will give you a few thoughts, really, really short and concise. So I had 4 5-star reads and 1 2.5-star read. So let me tell you what the lowest rated read of the month was first, so that we can end this video on a high note. So my lowest rated read of the month was Through the Grinder, the second book in the Coffee House Mysteries by Cleo Coyle. As a cozy mystery, this one was good. I enjoyed the mystery aspects of it. I thought that the outcome of it was plausible. There was definitely a little bit of a misdirection going on here from the author and the way that it was written. So it was an enjoyable mystery. However, there is this particular scene in here that really ticked me off, and there was biphobia in here, and the way that whole scene played out really almost made me DNF this book in its entirety at that time. I didn't end up DNFing the book, but that sentiment kind of stayed with me throughout the book, and by the end of it, I decided that I was going to DNF this entire series because I now have a bad impression of not only the author but this character, and I will never forget that or those particular lines had come out of this character's mouth, and it leaves a bad impression. And so I'm going to DNF the series and get rid of them off of my shelves. It's unfortunate because I know this is a well-loved series, but I cannot read something like that. It upset me a lot. Every time I would pick up this book, I would get irritated with our character, and I would constantly remember the things that she said, and it was just making everything so much more unenjoyable. So unfortunately, this is not only my lowest rated read of the month, but it is a series that I have decided to DNF in its entirety. So let's get to happier things, shall we? Happier things. So, 5-star reads. I had 4 of them, like I said. Obviously, 2 of them were going to be this month's volumes of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. We are heading towards the end. So many things happened in these volumes. Some very, very sad things happened. And so I'm looking forward to continuing and completing this series with my manga club members in the month of May. We will be reading the last 3 volumes. And this has just been such an enjoyable ride. It really tugs at the heartstrings. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it or watched it yet. And so, yes, had to mention the Demon Slayer volumes. And then my other 2 5-star reads were the 2 books from the Crave series that I read, which is Covet and Court by Tracy Wolff. So I started Covet, which is the 3rd book, when I was packing for my trip. And I just got so attached to these characters and the quests that they were going on. And it's just such an entertaining ride. So much so that even though Covet was 862 pages, I combo read that book, meaning I read part of the ebook and listened to the audiobook while I was on vacation. I would pull out the ebook copy on my phone and read through it while I was waiting for things on my vacation. And it was just so interesting. It was so enjoyable. I really love the narrator of this series. And I have nothing but great things to say about the series. It's probably not for everybody. I get that. This is, it's teen fantasy or urban fantasy, I guess. There's a little bit of a questing element in there. There's definitely some adventure. And it's just something that I need at this time, I guess. It's definitely giving me the same vibes I had when I first started reading Twilight all those years ago. And it's kind of strange because Twilight also kind of made me enjoy reading again. I wasn't reading daily until I found Twilight, and it had been a while since I had stopped reading daily until Twilight, and Twilight really jump kicked my reading again. And this series, the Crave series, has kind of just come in the right time. I guess this is what I'm in the mood for right now. It's just some nice adventure-y kind of questing. Not really high fantasy, because I don't get along with high fantasy, but I guess teen fantasy is what works for me. Teen urban fantasy. I have enjoyed urban fantasy on and off here during my life, and I guess I'm just in one of those moods right now. And so, yeah, I went through Covet, and I started Court, which is the 4th book, on my vacation, and that one only took me 3 days or so to finish, and that book's 941 pages. So every time I had a free moment, I was pulling out my phone and reading. That's how interested I was in what was going on. And I had to give both of them 5 stars, because if a book makes me want to pick it up and read it every spare moment I have, whether it be just enough to read a couple pages, which thankfully these books have really short chapters, and I can get a chapter done in just a couple pages. If a book makes me want to do that, how can I not give it 5 stars? That's how much I enjoy these books. I enjoy all of the characters. This series has a large cast. I connect to a lot of the characters. I feel for them when they're going through things. I even got emotional a little bit when I was reading Covet and Court. And if you know me, I'm not an emotional reader. I do not ever shed tears when I'm reading, or hardly ever. But with this one, I could feel those tears coming. They were on the tips of my eyes. They didn't fall. I didn't have no falling tears, but my eyes did water up. I don't know how I can't give this series, or at least those 2 books, 5 stars, because I gave the 2 previous books 4 stars. But these 2 books, I really, really enjoyed them, so much so that I am now going to be adding this series to my shelves. I enjoyed it that much. So I jumped right into the 5th book, but I didn't finish it in April. So that's why it's not in this one. But yes, I'm really enjoying this series and can't say much more positive things about it, because I feel like that is what I need right now. That series has really gotten me out of what I feel like I was going into another slump. And the audiobook is great. The book is great. At least I would say it's entertaining. It's really, really entertaining. The audiobook narration is really done well. I have no qualms with how the narrator is doing things, and I'm going to be adding those audiobooks to my library as well. So yes, really, really enjoyed those. Now, like I said, those are summarized versions, and you're definitely going to need to check out my vacation vlogs for my thoughts on at least those 2 books. I know I also talked about Shadow Kiss and 5 to 5. I'm not sure if I talked about Erased and the Demon Slayer volumes in that one as well. I really can't remember. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but yeah, I am very, very happy with the amount of reading I was able to get done in April. I was also participating in the Orilium Magical Readathon, which I didn't finish all of the prompts I needed to by the end of April, but I had 1 class that I needed to finish, which I did finish on, I believe, the 2nd of May. So I would say that's not too bad. I did end up finishing all of my classes, even though I needed an extension, just a slight one, but now I have finished that, so that's good, and I'm ready to continue my year in LDA Readathon. And so yeah, overall I'd say I had a great reading month in the month of April, and I'm really looking forward to not only continuing the Crave series in the month of May, because the last installment is coming out at the end of the month, but also reading a lot more manga, because I do try to focus my reading on manga in the month of May, and then give nods to the middle grade May and the Asian Readathon. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about my reading in April. Let me know down in the comments below what your highest and lowest rated reads of the month were. I would really love to know. Also, let me know if you participated in the Orilium Magical Readathon, and if you were able to complete all of your classes, or if you needed a slight extension like I did. I would really love to know. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a blue heart emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.